Hey everybody, it's Cole and Jamie Boling with the Boling Group at Keller Williams One Legacy Partners.
Hello.
In Topeka. How are you? We are the husband and wife real estate team, and today we are on page 4 of the Topeka real estate contract. So today we're going to get into inspections. Inspections do come before we get a completed deal together in our area. There's other areas of the country where people do inspections before they complete contracts. Not in our area. Our area, it is part of the contract. We do determine upfront who is doing the inspections and what they are. So today we're going to talk about that. First, let's talk about 11B. So 11B is the state required disclosures. We have what's called registered offenders. I think everybody knows what registered offender is. In the state of Kansas, we have a website. It's kansas.gov/KBI. If you will go to that website, you can search any registered offender in your area. We do not do that for you. That is something you need to do. And that's kind of what this says, is you are required to investigate it yourself. Now, moving on to radon. Radon, a lot of people don't know what radon is. Radon is a natural gas that comes from uranium. It comes through the small cracks in concrete of the floor of the house. It is known to cause cancer. Everybody knows that one person who's had lung cancer that never smoked. Well, if you date back to how they grew up, some people grew up on farmhouses, some people grew up in areas with high levels of stone. Places like Lawrence, who are on a rock bed themselves, do produce a little bit higher level of radon. In the state of Kansas, we do have an inspection process where they put a machine in the house. It runs for 48 hours. They register it every hour, 48 hours, and they give an average. If it's under a 4.0 reading, then you do not have to mitigate for radon. If it is over that and you have to mitigate, it's a very simple and not a super expensive process, about $1,000, depending upon the design of the home. All they do is they drill a hole in the floor that's big enough that all the gases want to go to that hole instead of the little cracks. And they put a fan either outside on the side of the house or in the attic, and they pull all that radon through the PVC pipe that they put in the ground and out above the roof line. And it really works. It is a great technology, and it typically runs about $800 to $1,000, depending upon the challenge of getting it in there. All right, now we're going to number 12, inspections. Inspections are the most essential part of every real estate contract. We never ever recommend you don't get inspections. We believe in inspections. We believe in our inspectors. They are professionals. They know what they're looking for. They test things that are going to be important to you as a buyer. And it really does help the seller as well. As a seller, you really do want inspections, because if a buyer gets all these inspections done and nothing is found and you move on with your life and something comes up later, it's a lot less likely that it's going to come back on you if all of these checks were checked off as we were going through the process. So what the purpose of an inspection is to conduct an as-is visual inspection. They don't take walls down. They don't change, they don't take the outlets off. Typically, they will take the panel of the electrical panel off if they can get to it, but they will inspect pretty much all of that on a property.
Without opening up your walls.
Without opening up your walls. It is a visual inspection. We'll get into that a little bit more here in just a little bit and into the next video. We're going to start with what we call termites, wood destroying insect infestation inspections.
Hold up, we missed this one. So basically, if you were going to buy a property on 12A that you were not going to do any inspections with, this is where you as the buyer would sign. Or if you're the seller, you would want to make sure that if they're not doing any inspections, that they sign off on this portion right here, that
Yes.
they're buying it as is.
Yes.
Okay.
So that means everything in the rest of this video and the next video is blank. Now, typically we don't see that. Lenders generally require a termite inspection. So what we do is we determine who's going to order the inspection, who's going to pay for the inspection, who the company is going to be, and what the cost is. And typically in our area, we do see the seller covering wood destroying insect inspections. It's between $80 to $150, depending upon the company that you go to. The less expensive ones typically don't give a 1-year warranty, after it. They just do the inspection to a little bit more expensive. They give you a 1-year warranty. So if termites do show up in that 1 year, they actually cover the treatment for you.
And also if the seller already has a plan with them to cover them and they get treatments often, sometimes they give you a lower rate to do an inspection as well.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so moving on to wastewater inspection. So this is a septic system, lagoon, some kind of waste disposal system on the property that is not into a city sewer line. We see that a lot more in our area because we are in a rural development economy and area. We do see a lot more properties that have a septic tank or a lagoon, right? So a lagoon, for those of you that do not know, is like a pond that it just kind of pumps into, and it's a natural process that it dissolves, and there's, I don't even know, there's chemicals and things you put in there, but there's like a fence around it, but it looks like a pond on the property, and it's not. So we don't play in those. Then you've got what's called a septic system. A septic system is a tank that goes in from all of the sewer lines in the house. That tank then goes into what's called lateral fields. The laterals themselves are designed to absorb into the soil of the property, depending upon, as like Jamie and I just built our home, depending upon the number of bedrooms, that's how many feet you have to have based on how many inches per hour the water absorbs into the soil. The less it absorbs, the more feet you have. The more absorbs, less feet you have. And all it does is a bunch of tubes that run through your yard, and all of the waste then absorbs through that over time.
And the size of your tank also, whenever whoever built the home, if you're buying a resale or whatever, it was based on what the soil actually perked at, is how big they decide. How many bedrooms, of course, is a factor, and then what it perks at is another factor to figure out how many lateral fields you need and what size tank you need.
Yes. So, all right, moving on to boundary levels or boundary locations. I apologize.
Oh, wait. Another thing on this too is typically we see the seller pay for this inspection if you are on a septic system. And the other thing that makes a difference in the price of how much it would be for the inspection is you have to have that septic system pumped within the last 3 years for the county to come out and inspect it. If it has not been pumped within that last 3 years, you will have to have a pumping company come out and pump it and show the invoice that it's been done, and then the county inspector will come out. So typically, if you've had it pumped and the county just needs to come out, I think it's 125-ish, somewhere in there,
Like that,
100 to 150. And then if you need to have it pumped, I think it's, what is it, about, I'm trying to think, how much is it typically for the pumping?
Yeah, like 150 bucks or something like that. I would always recommend that we're having fun with the little video today.
Yeah,
like
our
bouncing
virtual
on and off.
background.
It's not working very well. $150 is generally, and I do like to request that no matter what, we just have the seller pump it. Anything else on that?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, perfect.
All right, moving on to your boundary.
Yes. So sometimes we have, like in a rural setting, we have properties that need to be surveyed. Or what we call mortgage title inspection, which is a drawing of the property that shows just kind of the pins where things should line out, the property lines and things like that. And they generally, will look at that. Generally, we'll look at that from a like a county records, the legal description of the property, things like that, and they'll draw like a drawing that looks like a survey. We don't see those as much anymore, but we used to see them a lot. And it was a lot less expensive than a survey. Then we have what's called a boundary and improvement location survey. This is if there's already a plat on file. They would go out, and this is when they like stake the property, get it all figured out where each property line lays out. Then you have a full-blown survey. This is when a company is going to go out and they're going to draw out the property from everything if it's never been surveyed, or if we're going to be taking off some land from something else. So in this, we're going to select which one. We're going to put who's paying for it. We're going to put the date. We typically need that done within 20 calendar days. If not, we put a separate date on there, and then who the company is from there. Anything else you'd like to add on that one?
No, and then just moving on to 12E, exclusions from the inspections.
So this is the most important part of our entire contract, and this is where people get a little bit out of their mind. Let me just say it like that. This says any item that is strictly of cosmetic nature that do not pertain to mechanical or structural integrity or safety of the property are excluded. So it is not for ticky-tack, little itty bitty stuff. Inspections are for those things there. It is not intended to be a nitpick inspection, right? So when we go and we do a whole house inspection and they list all these things, there are certain things that are purely cosmetic. We are not in the cosmetic negotiating game unless you do that in the beginning. So stay tuned for our next video where we break this down a little bit further.
This is also where we talked about the seller's disclosure and why it's very important that we ask them to fill it out to the best of their knowledge, because as it says here, items marked not working or not included on the seller's disclosure are expressly excluded from the inspection provisions. So it's very important that before we do any offers that we take a look at the seller's disclosure, or the seller, if you don't want to take care of something that you know is something that's not working, that you don't want to take care of, make sure you put that on that seller's disclosure. So as we said, very, very important to get the seller's disclosure filled out to the best of their knowledge and to review it.
Absolutely. All right. Once again, we're Cole and Jamie Boling with the Boling Group. And don't forget to get your initials on the page.
And don't forget, we have to initial each page to have it fully executed on the page. So,
All right.
all right, now we can move on.
All right. Have a good day.
Bye.